So a bit of a different episode today. I'm going to be putting in a reversing camera. So the Ford Transit comes with front and back sensors, but I wanted to add a camera as well. So the system I've gone for is a Auto-Vox V5, which is also a Dashcam as well, and the unit itself is a mirror. So the unit itself is a mirror with a camera on the back. However, as this was a panel van, it doesn't have a rear view mirror to mount it onto. So I've gone and bought a Ford Transit Mk8, which is a smaller version of a Ford Transit, as I think it's got the same sort of mounting plate. To buy a Ford Transit, this model's mirror was about £180 because they seem to have some electronics in them. For the Mk8 model, it was only £22 off eBay. So the idea would be to fit it in here and then mount that on there, and then it's going to be wired up here and behind the headliner. So let's get that all mounted. Right, the internet says it might be clipped along the middle of the front seam. Well, there we go. Well, while this is off, I should run half the wires, that'd be a good idea. GPS. So the mirror's also got built-in GPS as well, so when you're driving and your dash cam is recording both the front and the rear, it's also taking a GPS position of all of that as well. Not going to use the plug version, I have bought a hardwire adapted for it. Right, so this appears to be the video cable from the rear camera. The rear camera is going to get connected up to the rear reverse light, so when the camera senses the reverse light goes on, it's then going to switch from mirror mode to rear view camera mode. Hopefully there's enough of this wire to reach the back of the vehicle. This 2.5mm jack fitting does not fit down the end of my conduit, so I'm going to have to do it the other way around. Change plan actually, because none of these wires are going to rub across any metal edge. It's just going to be sitting on the headliner. I'm just going to run it underneath the corner of the headliner and out over there. So this might not be the best method, and I might change it later on, but at the minute this is using a piggyback fuse holder. So it's got an inline fuse. I'm going to put it into a live fuse in the fuse box, which has always got the van's battery applied to it. That then makes one, sort of extends the original fuse which is already in there, and then I can add an extra fuse to actually fuse the device itself, and then one terminal for the ground. Reading the instructions, the GPS antenna needs to be stuck facing upwards, not on the mirror, which will be pointing down. So I'm going to remove this panel again and put it just on the dashboard out of the way. So I've got a whole bunch of fuses underneath the dashboard to figure out which one is live. So it appears I've got the wrong sort of fuse in the end of this. This seems to be a mini fuse, and the van uses micro 2 fuses. So I just ordered off Amazon a bunch of replacement piggyback fuse things, and I'll just cut it off and add a new one on. For the purpose of testing today then, I will just use the 12 volt cigarette charger for power, and then when my new parts turn up I'll use those at a later date. Great. Time to fit the camera. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to piggyback on the van's original conduit just because there's only one cable. So the camera itself is tiny, and what I'm going to hopefully do is mount it above, so below the rear top brake light. So it appears, unfortunately, my rear light is just clipped in and not screwed in, which isn't ideal as I wanted to put the camera mount through one of the screw holes. So it appears that the camera clips in. So I've just run some tape over the area where the cable's going to go. So what I'm going to do, the clip's already broken here, so I'm just going to remove this little bit of plastic here, leave the gasket with this little plastic so the cable can just run there. Hopefully that should be now enough for remove from behind the gasket. Next job is I need to get this wire connected to one of the reverse lights, so when the vehicle is put in reverse the light comes on, this triggers the relay which then makes the camera realise that it needs to switch to the rear view. So this is a really tiny wire, I'm just going to weight it, chuck it down here and hopefully it comes out the other end. Trying to figure out which one of these is the reverse light. So I've identified that the green and brown wire is the wire I'm after. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it, strip the ends, put this back into it and then close it up together again. I've not done anything like this before. Now, before you do this, disconnect the van battery. Just because there's so little wire here, I'm just going to use a bit of my scrap wire and make a little extension. So, moment of test. I've currently got it on the dual display mode, where I can see what's on the camera in the front and around the back. And all being well, if I put it into reverse with the ignition on but the engine off, it should switch to the reverse camera. Brilliant. That's worked, fantastic. Right, it's a new day and my new piggyback adapters in multiple sizes have turned up, and this really small one is the type I need for the Ford Transit. So I need to find a fuse which is live even when the ignition is off. So I'm going to put the piggyback adapter into some of the spare fuse slots beforehand and then just test to see if any of those have a voltage. So, that on a negative, if that reads 12 volts, I've got a live. There we go, so that empty slot is live with the ignition off, so I'm going to use that. My wire is a bit short still, so I'm going to snip off this and add my own wire and cut off the old end. So that's the differences between these two fuse adapters. They've both got 5 amp fuses in them, but one's a micro 2 and one's a mini. So I'm just going to cut this one off, and then I'm going to put this on the end of it. I did a really bad job on that, I'm going to redo it. So I adjusted my wire stripper, so now this should be the right amount for the connectors. Just for this moment in time, I'm going to use this here as my ground. Just before I go ahead and utilise that fuse, I'm just going to check what it actually is. So F27, if that is the right thing I'm looking at, which I think it is an unused panel. It's fine. So the ignition's off. This is the cigarette lighter panel plug. So when I plug this in, this should power the unit. It's working. So features wise, you can have different view modes. You can have dual front and back, just the front, just the rear. When you have it like this, because these cameras are quite a wide angle, you can set it to show different parts of the camera. Same to the back and the front. On the British model, which is the V5 model, you can also adjust the location of the camera itself, and it's also on a bit of a mount to make sure it fits your vehicle. You also got driving mode, so when you're driving, the actual screen switched off, which shows you your miles per hour or kilometers per hour if you want to have it set to that. And when you put it into reverse, the reverse lines come up, and you can also fully adjust these as well. in dashcam mode, the mirror will record the rear and the front simultaneously, and also use the GPS to track that. Play with most of the different things you want in settings. Mute, change cameras, and also playback videos as well. So when you're driving, the screen switched off, which shows you your miles per hour. Or you can lock videos as well, so in the event of an emergency or an accident, the mirror realises to automatically save some particular videos. It's also got a parking mode as well, which is what it's using at the moment. It's recording. If it feels a knock, it will then start recording and keep that video. But that's about it. First time installing a unit, first time doing electrics on a vehicle, so it's good to get used to it, because I'm going to be doing a lot more of that when I get to doing the 12-volt stuff. So this is the Auto-Vox software to use with the video clips from the camera. You've got your speed, your direction, GPS on Google Maps showing where the video was taken, and the video itself. And along the bottom you've got the G-force sensors as well. I'll also show you some clips from the front camera. And from the rear camera. Quality is 1080p. It looks alright, you know, it's not amazing quality footage, but what you wanted a dash cam for, it would work perfectly. So a bit of a different video this time, installing the rear view camera and smart mirror system. But thanks for joining, and if you want to see more and more on the van build itself, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.